Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. This is the third and final installment of James' collection review and his custom video. All right. And in video one, link in the description, we talked about his pre-ceramic 16713. 16713, that's right. That's the pre-ceramic root beer, GMT. Link in the description to that video if you haven't seen it. And then also link in the description to the second video when we talk about his 116600. That's the transitional sea dweller, 40 millimeters, yet ceramic, right? And in regard to that, I forgot to read something. Let me just finish that. He says, he's talking about that sea dweller. He says, really makes me appreciate a thin watch. Okay, yeah, because this one's thick. It's one of the complaints. It's a 14 to 15 millimeter watch. I'm hot and cold on the watch. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I consider selling or trading it towards something else like a 16710 black bezel GMT. Don't sell it. Don't sell it. Just add that. Just add that GMT. I'm a GMT guy. I'm more of a 5-digit GMT guy. You are too, but you can't sell that watch. That's got too much potential in the future. Or a Patek 5296G sector dial. Those are beautiful. I mean, when it comes to the, those Calatravas, the sector dial is really cool. But yeah, I mean, if you're like a Rolex fan the way I am, that's a very expensive watch and just not going to give you that fanboy punch. But it would definitely be a watch you could wear to work and nobody would know, and it wouldn't scream, really expensive watch. But you'd have to be careful with it. You couldn't get it wet every time you wash your hands. You'd have to wash that leather strap, and God forbid you get some soap on it. It'd be a mess. So that's why I love Rolexes. He says he doesn't have a dress watch, but do you really need a dress watch? Just wear your one of your Rolexes. Actually, the watch we're going to talk about in this video is a great dress watch. It's an Explorer, 39 millimeter. All right, so you could use that, or he could sell the 116600 and really stretch for a rose gold chocolate dial Oyster Flex Daytona, which he tried on at his AD. Amazing. Come on, man. You don't want that. That's going to be ostentatious, and you already have issues with your GMT root beer. Look, if you want to go Daytona, Zenith two-tone, okay, and then you don't have to sell this thing on a rubber strap. That's that's weird, man. I'm surprised to hear you say that, because you're clearly not a gold guy and you like flying under the radar. I think you might have been blinded by, the Daytona magic when it was on your wrist at the AD. I don't, it's not me. I don't think it's you either, judging by the way you, are careful about the gold and wearing it to work and stuff. So, but yeah, add that 16710. Don't sell the 116600. Okay, on to the third piece. Purchased, and this is a 214270, the 39 millimeter modern Explorer. Purchased late June this summer once my AD opened up from lockdown. Passed on a new 40 millimeter Submariner for this. Put my name on the list at my AD for the new Submariner, no date, back in February or March, and got the call in late June saying they had a Submariner for me. I asked if they had an Explorer instead, and they did. Well, the Explorer is not nearly as desirable. If you could have bought that watch, that new Sub, flipped it, and then double dipped for that Explorer, that would have been the best way to do it. But easier said than done. And when you're graced with the chance to buy a Rolex, the idea of flipping it for cash is sort of it gets kind of a dickish move, right? So that was upstanding what you did, not as opportunistic as many of us would have been. If I was lucky enough to get, a hot model, I would want to show that I kept it, and I would make a point to wear it every time I visited. Thanks, man. I love this watch, and they would know that I didn't flip it, and so you got your foot in the door, and they know you kept your watch, and you also turned down this watch when a greedy person would have gotten it and flipped it. So that was well played in the long run, because they know what kind of guy you are, and you've already bought from him, and as we'll see, he had his 116600 40 millimeter ceramic Sea Dweller service through them. So you're a good customer. I think next up, White Dial Daytona. All right, well, we can always dream, right? You might not be that good of a customer, but ceramic GMT, which I don't think you want. I think you want the pre-ceramic GMT. All right, where were we? Yeah, my first AD buying experience. I want to do that. No purchase history besides having them send my Sea Dweller to Dallas RSC for the service. I stopped by the AD about once a month or every other month just to see what they had in stock and talk with the staff. Very good experience. Sounds like you've got a good relationship that you're fostering, so this is a very good situation you're in, James. Really like the watch, but not in love with it. Is anybody ever really in love with a humble Explorer? I couldn't be. I respect the watch. I like it. For me, it's just too vanilla. I would be more inclined to go Oyster Perpetual, but they're not as desirable, right? They're not as sporty as what he has. But again, it's a good watch, but I wouldn't be in love with this watch. Not like some about the swivelly bezels, right? Those are magic. That's the beauty of this watch. It's a vanilla watch, okay? And this could be your dress watch if you want. I wanted a thinner non-Rolex that I could wear all the time. I miss not having a date, but the thin case, simple dial, and brushed oyster steel bracelet really look great. I can see myself liking it more once my office opens back up. Yes, as it's more compatible to office work, more compatible than my other watches. Yes, and that really is you're not going to lose out on a promotion because of an Explorer. So I think this is a great watch for the office. He says, I also can see myself buying the black bezel 16710 for the same reason, i.e. the office environment. Now, that to me has become an F-off watch, and if you're a Rolex guy, man, you know what that is, right? I mean, I could spot a GMT pre-ceramic a mile away, and that has gone from being a sort of a cool just under the radar watch, maybe it was like 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 20 years ago, to something really desirable. Not nearly as twatty, obviously, as the ceramic version, but it's a little less humble. I don't know. I probably am overthinking that, but it's going to be a lot less humble to the Rolex Aware Punter than your Explorer. Okay, but you're right to choose the black bezel version, the all black bezel. That's my favorite version, I think. I love the Coke, but I think you and I are so similar in how sensitive we are to what we project. And the black bezel, all black 16710 is just so wearable, and so is as inconspicuous as you can get, really, and still have all the things that I love. It's a fantastic watch. So I really think you should set your sights on one of those. And a lot of people would say, well, you've already got the GMT root beer. Two different watches, completely two different watches. So getting another GMT I think is a good move, and I support that. My only gripes are the lack of the date on this Explorer, and I already put a nice scratch on the shiny bezel. Yeah, don't worry about that. One scratch looks bad, but after you wear it a bunch, they just all kind of come together. And man, there's nothing cooler than a watch that is like 20 years old, and it just has this like, it's not a smooth surface. It's like everything is just sort of, there's just like texture beyond texture. And so not a big deal. Man, you've got a great collection. 3 pieces. This could be a perfect collection. All Rolex. He's got his GMT. He's got his dive watch. Oh, he can dive in that watch. He's got his no date, his sort of dress watch, his under the radar watch. He's had his new Rolex experience. He's got his foot in the door at not at RSC, but yeah, yes, at RSC, and also at this AD. And he's got a little gold when he wants to get fancy with the two-tone, and you know, you're not missing much. I think for me this would be a perfect collection because it's all Rolex, and they're all desirable pieces, and particularly the Sea Dweller, that transitional piece, that's tops. Okay, that's probably the most, I would say that's got the most potential as far as going up in value. Hold on to that one. But the same thing could be said of your GMT two-tone root beer. That's not your run-of-the-mill 16710. That's a very special watch. And two-tones, I think, are always not as desirable as the steel, right? But that's a great watch, and you're going to want to hold on to that. Does he have a chronograph? No. So maybe that could be something you could concentrate on if you just... Look, I don't really think you need a chronograph. I kind of like having one. I've had one for the past month on my wrist, and you know, when you need it, it's awesome to have it. But the thing is, this watch has everything, so whatever I need, I've got it. But would I wear, you know, a Daytona or a Speedy and need the chronograph function? No, not really. I mean, I'd much more miss the GMT function or the date. So yeah, if you want to go cheap, you could go Speedy, and that would be kind of neat, and you would be able to branch off you know, into some other things besides Rolex. Check out Omega. Or if you really are a Rolex fanboy, you could go Daytona. And look, you've started to foster that relationship at your AD, so you know, if you get offered a Daytona, you should get it. All right, period. I mean, buy first, then decide if you want to keep it later. And then it truly would be a perfect collection. And somebody would say, well, you know, you get the iconic Datejust 5-piece, and then that would be like over the top, probably more than you need, totally retire kind of scenario. But you know, I'm not saying that you need a chronograph, just if you're looking at all of sort of the bases and stuff, and look, you don't have a dress watch, as you said, but you know, I think your Explorer works better, and you know, you got a great collection. I mean, you've got 3 lifetime achievement watches, and they work really well together. And all right, guys, well, let James know what you think about his collection. What should he do? I don't think he should sell any of these pieces. I think he should add a 16710. I know he wants one, and it would be a great watch to wear to the office. Not as good as the Explorer, perhaps, but much better than, you know, the two-tone GMT root beer. And look, you can't go wrong with any of these watches, and they're going to hold their value, all of them. Just don't lose them or get them stolen. That's the only thing. You know, having money tied up in watches that can be taken instead of money in the bank, that's really the only thing that gives me pause. But you hang on to these watches, and worst case scenario, you'll get out of them in the future if that's what you want to do, and not lose a dime. You'll probably make some money, right? So I want to hear what the punters think, and I want to hear the advice that they have. What did I miss? Let me know. Thanks, James, for your custom video request. And if you're interested in a custom video yourself, check out the description of this video. You can see how you can make it happen. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.